All right, what's up everyone? Today we have to talk about SBFM. It has taken the small cap world by storm. Everyone is trading it. Everyone's focusing on it. Ton of shorts are getting squeezed out like crazy. Longs are banking. And today in this lesson, I want to show you exactly how you can identify whether or not a stock has a potential short squeeze. We were able to identify SBFM as a short squeeze candidate all the way down in the $5 area. Now, and after hours, it's at $12 and it looks like it can go even further. So in this lesson, we're gonna be breaking down just the whole idea of what a short squeeze is and how to identify it. So whether or not you're a long or a short seller, you can better be prepared and positioned in these type of moves. If you're long, you can profit off the squeeze. If you're a short, you can avoid getting in too early, shorting the front side and getting squeezed out like so many short sellers did. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this lesson and want to see more like these, please do me a favor. Let YouTube know that you like this type of content. Hit the like button real fast. It only takes a few seconds. Like I said, I truly appreciate you watching. With that being said, let's get into the lesson. So real quick, first off, I am not a registered financial advisor. Nothing in this video is a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Make sure that you talk to an advisor before you get involved in the markets. Trading, and especially day trading, is extremely risky. So understand the risks beforehand. This is purely for entertainment purposes only. Also, I only have one Instagram account, that is Tony Ivanov _. There's many people impersonating me and trying to scam people for crypto. I'll never ask you for crypto investing or whatever. So just be aware of that. All right. So let's get into the lesson. All right. So here we are on my thinkorswim trading platform. Here's the hourly chart for SBFM. As you can see, it's been on a crazy run ever since Tuesday. And let's just start from the beginning, see what caused this to even spike up in the first place. All right. So you need to understand that right now, biotech is what the small cap is really focusing on. We've been seeing lots of biotech plays spike up left and right. So that's where everyone is focusing. And sure enough, SBFM is also a biotech company. So on Tuesday, they came out and they released this news. And the news pretty much says that their mRNA molecules are effective against multi-drug resistance cancer cells. So obviously that's very good news. mRNA technology has been obviously in the forefront of the overall biotech space. And this is very positive news. So obviously this stock was able to spike up pretty significantly. In pre-market on Tuesday, it went all the way from $2 all the way to a high of $6.35 just in the first few hours alone. When it came down to that first day, you can see I have a few levels here. So when it comes down to identifying levels of support, there's really one indicator that I would really ever use other than VWAP. And that is the daily 200 moving average. That is a level that we see time and time again. Big investors, big traders like to buy off of to support stocks if they think stocks are going to go higher. So as you can see, I have the daily 200 marked off on this chart, and that is right around 507. Let me just go to the 5-minute chart real fast so we can kind of break down the intraday price action a bit more. So what's interesting about the first day was that lots of short sellers we're focusing on this as just a day one short, mainly because it had this failed breakout. So typically when short sellers see a failed breakout like this, they're going to want to short into VWAP, the break of VWAP, and basically they're expecting it to be an all-day fade. And this almost made an all-day fade pattern. Usually an all-day fade needs to break this pre-market support, and it did. It broke that pre-market support, so most short sellers would see this as an all-day fade. But what they didn't see is that it was supporting off of, number one, the round number of $5, and number two, that all important daily 200 moving average. So basically you have short sellers who are piling into this, into the VWAP tests. Some of them get squeezed out, but then more of them are going to pile into it as long as it holds underneath this low of day. So this is a setup that we look at TradeBuddy, where we want to find the stocks that gap up on day one, where you can kind of picture and visualize that shorts are getting trapped. And the key thing is that as long as it keeps holding support, most short sellers are going to be looking for that low of day break. So they're holding a majority of their size for the break below 5. But if it doesn't break below 5, they're going to start to get pressure, right? They're going to have a fire lit up underneath them, and they're going to need to start to cover. So sure enough, into day two, It kept holding that $5 support. Now you have all the day 2 shorts who are trying to attack this into the high of day rejections into VWAP. So you just have more and more short sellers getting trapped up in this thing. This is important to understand because then as it was able to kind of reclaim VWAP and then after it broke out above this high of day, the way that you have to look at this is that anyone that was selling in these past 2 days underneath 640 is now trapped. So now we can go to the hourly chart because now you can very easily just look at this as a very simple setup of, hey, as long as this previous resistance holds as new support, it's 100% bullish. Now, I'll be completely transparent. I actually sold into this retest because I had to follow my strategy and my rules. My rules dictate that if it does not hold the hourly chart perfectly on the line chart, then it's potential backside and I have to sell into it. Obviously, I can look at it from a discretionary sense and see that, it still looks very bullish, but I had to follow my rules. I don't ever want to use my discretionary side to break my system's rules. So I did sell my position back into this 640s, but I was totally prepared for the chance that it could break out higher. So this is one of those things where if your rules and your strategy dictates for you to sell and the stock goes higher, number one thing you do not want to do is just blindly chase it, right? Don't fall into the FOMO. Just stay patient and look for a new opportunity to trade it. And that new opportunity came today on Thursday, where after it was able to break out above that next level in the 740s and 760s, now that is the new level, right? As long as that previous resistance can hold as new support, anyone that has sold is underwater and trapped. So I was able to get into the dips. I actually traded the warrants on this because it has a bit more volatility. But I just trade the warrants by just looking at the underlying and then buying the warrants. So not too big of a, lesson there. So I was able to get back in long off of this retest of the 760s. Ultimately, my thesis was as long as it can hold 740, then we just have to stay patient and just wait, right? And a lot of traders were really focusing on this VWAP action, right? Lots of longs are trying to short this VWAP area. Lots of shorts are looking at this intraday price action alone, ignoring all of the previous day's volume and levels and just looking at this and saying, hey, look, we have a triple top, time to short. And that is how you get trapped and squeezed as a short seller. You need to understand the context of the multi-day moves and the context of the price action, right? You need to understand that shorts are trapped and this thing is still 100% bullish. So I just, we stayed patient through this and we had some levels marked off, right? The next resistance we had on the weekly chart was 932. And then after that, all the way up at 1222. And let's talk about the weekly chart real quick, right? Because this is also something very important. When it comes down to trading, there's always potential levels of resistance. The best way to find these is to just go to the weekly chart and go to the line chart. And you can see I have these levels marked off. We have a very clear level right here around 760s. That was a level that we saw act as resistance. The next level we have up here is at 932. Then after that, we have 1222 and 1433. These are all potential levels of resistance. And my rules tell me that I always want to lock in some partial profits into known levels of resistance. You're never gonna, know exactly which resistance is gonna be the top, but if you just take profits into each one, then you're gonna be able to stay more patient for that bigger squeeze. And then if it is the top, then you top tick the trade, and that's always a bonus. But that's how we get these levels. And as you can see, these levels work. I mean, this is not hindsight. You can see we very clearly rejected in after hours at 1220s. We very clearly yesterday rejected 760s, okay? So this is something very powerful that you can use to just lock in profits along the way. Or, I mean, if you're a short seller and you really want to short the front side, those are probably the best, areas to look at to consider taking any risk. But other than that, I mean, as far as, into tomorrow, we obviously had a very big short squeeze in the afternoon. A lot of shorts got stopped out today above 930s. But realistically, if we just look at the big picture, we have to step back and say, hey, like technically, this thing could pull back like as low as 870s and still be 100% bullish. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I have no idea. Now, full disclosure, I am long this. I am swinging overnight the warrants. So just understand, obviously, I do have a bit of a bias, but this is how I read all of my charts, right? As long as the hourly chart keeps on stepping upwards, the stock is still 100% bullish, and you're not going to see that backside until it really starts to break down. So you really want to be careful of trying to find the top too soon as a short, because you can easily get blown out by this thing. And just for a quick example of like what backside looks like, I will be releasing another video this weekend, just breaking all this down, but this is more what backside looks like, right? LGVN is a really good example because it failed to hold that previous resistance as new support. So from there, it's backside. And as long as you can short into the pushes, it's likely to go lower. So that is just a very quick breakdown. I wanted to get this out before the morning about SBFM. If you have any questions or you want to just, give your own input or, perspective of trading, I'm always open to hearing your guys' thoughts and opinions on things. This is just my opinion of how I see the markets. I really am more of a, psychological trader. I really like to gain my edge by knowing what traders are doing, right? Both longs and shorts. And that's how I get my confidence and my edge. So that's how I see things. Make sure that you trade safe on SBFM and everything. Once again, if you enjoyed this lesson, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to. And also, if you want to get live analysis, because I was talking about SBFM ever since Tuesday, make sure to go follow my Twitter, TonyAvanov_. I'll link it down below in the description. I talked about SBFM on day one as a short squeeze potential. I talked about SBFM today, the fact that it was holding above 740s and it was still 100% bullish. So if you want that free live analysis, go follow my Twitter. It is free content and it is very informative and useful. So with that being said, enjoy your evenings, enjoy your days whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next video.